Okay, we are going to be multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. Okay, whenever you multiply anything that involves fractions, okay, you do need to make sure that both numbers are fractions. See, some of these are mixed numbers, like 2.5. The number 2 here is not a fraction because it's a whole number. Okay, we do need to make sure they're both fractions before we multiply. So we have to do that. Okay, then you multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms, and simplify. Okay, notice I said nothing about a common denominator. Okay, you do not need a common denominator. Okay, now I also want to show you this shortcut. Is that before you multiply the numerators, tops, and multiply the bottom numbers, the denominators, you could reduce. If you have a number on top and a number on the bottom that could be divided by the same number, you could go ahead and do that. And I'll show you when that happens, because that really does make your numbers smaller and it makes the problem easier to do. Okay, let's just do the first problem together. It could be problem 16, but you could have it numbered with a different problem number. Okay, 2.5 times a fifth. Okay, first thing I want to do is make sure they're both fractions. Okay, 1/5 is, 2.5 isn't. So I need to do that multiply, add, drag trick, or backwards C trick, whatever you learned in a previous year. Okay, if I take 2 times 2, I get 4. If I add 1, I get 5. So I get 5 halves. Okay, 1/5 is already a fraction. So now I can multiply the tops. They're both fractions. So I can multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms, and reduce. Okay, 5 times 1 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So my answer is 5/10, which is perfectly good. It's really good, though, to reduce that. 5 divided by 5, 10 divided by 5. See, 5 goes into both of those. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. So 1/2 is the best answer. But I want you to look at something here. Before I multiply the tops and the bottoms, you see how 5 and 5 can both be reduced? See, I can divide 5 and 5 by the same number. I could have divided 5 by 5, and this 5 by 5. Okay, this 5 divided by 5 is 1. This 5 divided by 5 is also 1. And see, now I could go ahead and multiply my new problem I have here. I have 1 over 2 times 1 over 1. Okay, multiply the tops. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. See how it just makes the problem easier? So instead of dividing by 5s right here, I could divide by 5s in this setup right here when I have a fraction times a fraction. Okay, you'll thank me on that. Sometimes that really helps you. Okay, let's look at number 17. This is one it really helps you with. Okay, 1 3/8 times 8/12. Okay, 8/12 is a fraction. We got to have them both fractions. 8/12 is good. 1 3/8 is not. Okay, so I need to multiply, add, drag, or backward C to make this into a fraction. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3 is 11. Keep the 8. See, I have 11 over 8 times 8 over 12. Okay, now my steps here, I'm telling you to take 11 times 8, take 8 times 12, and then take that final answer and reduce it. You know what? I don't know that maybe you may not know 8 times 12 or 8 times 11. Or maybe you do, but you just want to use a shortcut. Because look at this. You have an 8 on the top and an 8 on the bottom. You could reduce now. You could go ahead and divide the top by 8 and the bottom by 8, because 8 divides by 8 and 8 divides by 8. It's kind of like you are reducing early. I'm dividing the top and the bottom by 8 right away. Okay, 8 divided by 8 is 1. And this 8 divided by 8 is 1. Okay, now let's multiply the tops and the bottoms. Okay, 11 times 1 on the top is 11. 1 times 12 on the bottom is 12. Okay, what do you think? I mean, I could have taken 11 times 8 and 8 times 12, and I could have reduced it. It would have been a big old mess. I still would have gotten 11 12s. Okay, play around with that if you think that that could help you. Okay, why don't you try 18 and 19, or at least your second two problems with a paused video, and then come back to it and see if you got these right. Okay, 5 1/3 times 2. Okay, 5 1/3 is not a fraction, so I need to multiply and add. So I end up with 16/3. Okay, 2 is not a fraction. Guys, if you have a whole number and you need to change it into a fraction, divide it by 1. Okay, because any number divided by 1 is the number you started with. Okay, 2 divided by 1 is really the 2 that you started with, but it needs to be in fraction form. Okay, we have 16 over 3 times 2 over 1. Okay, now we just multiply the tops. 16 times 2 is 32. Multiply the bottoms. 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, mathematically, this is a perfectly good answer. Okay, but it is improper. So to change it to a mixed number, divide 3 into 32. Okay, 3 goes into 3 once. Okay, subtract 3 from 3, you get 0. Okay, bring down the 2. Okay, 3 will not go into 2. So our remainder is 2. I mean, you can think of it as taking 3 times 0 and subtracting. Okay, but you have 2/3 left over. So the final answer is 10 2/3. Okay, the last problem, 4/5 times 1 2/3. 4/5 is already a fraction. Okay, 1 2/3, I've got to make a fraction. I got to take 3 times 1, 3, add 2, 5. So I need to turn that into 5/3. Okay, so I have 4/5 times 5/3. Look what I see here. I noticed something. I can go ahead and reduce by 5 now. I have a 5 on the top, I have a 5 on the bottom. I can take 5 divided by 5, which is 1. I can take 5 divided by 5 here and get 1. So my new problem is 4 over 1 times 1 over 3. And again, you don't have to do this shortcut, but it's kind of nice. Okay, multiply the tops. 4 times 1 is 4. Multiply the bottoms. 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, 4/3 is the right answer. But if your teacher wants you to have a mixed number, or if Khan Academy wants you to make that into a mixed number, you got to divide 3 into 4. 3 goes into 4 once, with 1/3 left over. Okay, 1 1/3. Okay, guys, please let me know if this is not helping you. If you're doing your Khan Academy and the hints they give you are not helping, just let me know, and I will help you with this. I want you to understand this and do well.